Hello fellow modelers! Yes, I am alive, and I am sorry that I didn't upload any video for a few months. I had to do slightly extensive project, therefore I appreciate your understanding and support during this time. I struggled with rent prices, so I moved into the apartment after my grandparents. The apartment situation is 3+1 and was built in 60s. So now you can see the museum of communism and ordinary life. It is nice, but it needs minor modifications. So I removed all the furniture and equipment. Under the carpets are wooden parquets, but it seems that everything is glued with asphalt. I don't need to describe the smell when the sun hits them, like an old rail station. So the best way is to remove them. I must mention that the apartment is in the third floor without elevator, so I carried the few tons of dirt and building material up and down the stairs during the whole process. It was massive work, so good face mask is suitable. The main corridor has a large 3 cm fake pavement on the floor, so I also have decided to remove it. The major plan is to remove the side corridor and rather make the bathroom larger. I wanted to preserve bricks, so I used a hammer first, but the jackhammer would be more suitable for this job. I do not have any experience with reconstruction, so it took some time to learn all the steps properly. The electric installation is made of aluminum, so I must make the entire installation new and better. These old apartments are funny, so it is good to check the wires before touching them. You never know even after turning off the whole switchboard. All the cables are black, so it is hard to say what is phase. I think it will be a little bit more complicated than I expected. Here we have an apartment switchboard. What a beauty! Primarily I like old ceramic fuses. Some cables end in the wall without any connection and proper isolation. Why not? Now I am without lights and electrical outlets. Perfect, still better and better. I asked my uncle to look at the apartment and advise me on the technological steps. The first sentence was, "What a nice apartment." It was. I wanted to preserve metal door frames, but yes, they are horribly crooked. The deviation is 2 cm on 2 meters. I guess it was the norm in 60s because almost all have the same or worse deviation. There is no door intel, so I prefer not to have bricks on my head. so I was forced to reinforce bricks with a strong metal tube. I filled the hole with a masonry mortar, which is suitable for filling small holes. It looks like that the reinforcement is holding. I removed the corridor walls, so now let's make a new bathroom wall. I preserved some bricks, but I found out that this aerated concrete or itong bricks are lighter, easier to cut and better for builder beginners. Like me. I fixed each third brick with this metal profile. It would hold even without them, but I rather make it properly. The itong intel has only 40 kilos, so placing it without crane was possible. Nice, my first wall is done. It is straight and holds, so surprise, I guess. It is entrance to the bathroom. Now I realize how large it will be. I can place washing machine and dryer without problems. I bought more bricks than I needed, so I made the toilet wall slightly larger to be more hidden. My girlfriend helped me to remove thick layer of a paint from the wall, so thanks for this. While cleaning the walls, she found another electrical box under the paint. The whole apartment is turned off, but I'd rather test it. It is magic because the wires are alive. I found out that my grandparents bought the third room from neighbors and only made new doors. The electricity was still connected to the neighbor's apartment, and outlets and switches were filled with a plaster. So I also turned off the neighbor's apartment and removed this funny electrical installation. I like bricks, but in the interior not so much. Therefore I placed the lime cement plaster over them. I watched some videos on YouTube how to make it, so this is my first try. First I applied highly diluted layer to make a better adhesion. The wall is not straight, again, so I made two guidelines and let them dry. Then I applied more plaster and filled the rest. I filled holes after the door frames when I learned how to work with plaster. I reconnected the main switchboard to the extension cord and made a new power line to the apartment. Don't worry, it was only for removing the old switchboard. After the step, I mounted new strips for conductors and placed them all on the wall. I want one box for switchboard and one box for Wi-Fi router and LED's power source. I studied information technologies and electricity in high school, so I can finally use some knowledge in practice and design and make the whole electrical installation myself. I drill out holes for sockets and switches. I borrowed a professional wall groover, but soon I realized that it was stronger than my fuses. So I was forced to improvise again and use ordinary angle grinder with a diamond blade. As you can see, it was crazy dusty and horrible work, but it worked. I forgot that some walls are relatively thin, so at least I have a ventilation holes. The boxes for sockets are like Lego, and you can connect them together easily. I use laser for precise position and orientation. It is better than correcting the position after the sockets are installed. I use for filling gypsum plaster because the drying time is only a few minutes. The larger assembly is for my PC, primarily here is laser necessity. So now the conductors. I use copper 3 by 1.5 mm for lights and 3 by 2.5 for sockets. The recommended maximum number of sockets for one circuit is 10, so each room has a separate circuit. However, making more circuits for the kitchen is better, because only the washing machine consumes 2 kWh. All the lines are 20 cm under the ceiling and at the right angle to the socket. If you eventually drill holes for shelves, you know where the conductors are located. It is funny if you compare old and new junction boxes. Primarily I made for each wire eye and fixed it with a screw properly, so the wire could not fall away. I struggled to apply cement plaster to the top of the doors, so I made easy formwork. I removed it the next day and I was surprised that it worked. My girlfriend convinced me that the old radiators were dangerous for my young boy. So I guess we need new ones. These old cast iron radiators are super heavy and I was not capable to move them from the third floor. So I made them slightly smaller. Now I'm glad we replaced them. the seals from the bottom were rusty and look horrible. This step is not necessary, but I smoothed the walls with a grinder. It removed residual paint, dust and revealed imperfections, like many small cracks. Now you can see what I did with the apartment. It has minor weathering, but slightly overdone. Don't look at the holes in the wall. So, what about the cracks in the walls? The first step is to apply strong, deep penetration. It works like a glue and makes the plaster stronger. Then I applied reinforcement glass fiber mesh everywhere. I start with corners, because you must overlap the fabric to each other. I wouldn't say I like ceilings, because the glue was everywhere, primarily on my skin and head. The walls were much easier. When all was done, I smoothed and unified the surface with a second layer of a construction adhesive. Now it's time to prepare the floor for the self-leveling mortar. I filled more significant holes in the floor by fast drying concrete and removed raised asphalt. The asphalt is not porous material, so I must use a special penetration for this surface. Funny was to take upstairs a few bags of a mortar. Actually, this is only the half of it. This step is not easy, because you must work fast and precise, so I rather ask a professional to help me with the floors. The floors are horribly uneven, so we needed in the end 75 bags of self-leveling mortar. Just for your imagination, we poured a 3 cm thick layer out in some corners. Even so, we made each room separately, otherwise we would need even more material. This is the result, and it looks beautiful. Primarily I am glad that the asphalt layer is finally sealed. The drying time of the floor is 3 weeks, so I can finish the walls. The glue is properly dry, so I can apply stucco. I applied one layer and almost immediately used the second layer. In summer it's hot, so it dries quite fast. The next step was to smooth the imperfections with a sponge and little bit of water. Good trick is to use a light from the side, it will reveal even more imperfections. After smoothing, the wall is nicely uniform. I only struggle with the ceilings. The result is not perfect, but it was my first try, so I guess they are not horrible. I finished the rooms. It was relatively straightforward. Now the bathroom. I removed all water lines and waste pipes. The material was fragile after all the years. The water heater and washing machine will be placed on the old corridor wall, so I must hide all the pipes into the floor. Okay, some messy work again. Waste pipes are like Lego, so it is easy to make lovely connections. More difficult are water pipes due to high pressure. I purchased a special pipe heater. I made a few test connections, and when I learned all the steps, I started making the bathroom water installation. All are made of plastic, and I am pretty comfortable working with a plastic. There are a few basic rules. It would be best if you made a straight cuts, then heat the tube properly for a few seconds, neither little or a lot. Then only push the tube to the hub. Do not try to make any circular moves, as it can cause bubbles or ripples, and the connection will not be perfectly sealed. The last thing you must pay attention is not to pushing the tube into the plumbing elbow hub too much, otherwise you can clog the pipe or reduce the flow diameter. I have cold water pipes done, and remains to make pipes for hot water. The last step was a pressure test by a professional plumber, which tested all the connections. I passed. I filled holes and sealed the floor with a concrete. I learned how to work with a self-leveling mortar, therefore I poured and leveled the bathroom floor by myself. A special roller to the floor helps to remove bubbles. Also, it is essential to use a laser to measure layer height. Self-leveling does not mean It is self-leveling. You must help to move the liquid equivalent to all the corners. I let the floor dry properly, and the free time I started tiling the kitchen wall. Actually, I don't need to tile the whole wall because there will be cabinets and shelves. I attach the guide metal profile for the straight perfect line. I use plastic distant crosses for uniform panel lines. The orange plastic features help fix position and set straight levels. After drying, I fill the panel lines with a dark grey filler. The floor in the bathroom is dry, so I can prepare the walls. I use a spirit level and found out that deviation is more than 4 cm up and 5 cm down. So I decided to build a new wall rather than correct the old one. The new wall looks slightly more straight. I have on the walls new and old plasters, so I unified the walls with a reinforcement mesh again. The next step is waterproofing. I applied the special rubber insulating tapes to all corners and around the water outlets. Then I applied 2 waterproofing layers to the walls and floor. My girlfriend wanted a bathtub, so I had to make a bathtub. It is good to fill it with water before enclosure installation. The weight of the water fixes the position. The bathtub is made from metal, so mortar is not recommended due to possible corrosion. So I use a low expansion mounting foam as an adhesive. It is good to make a service door if you eventually want to repair waste. And the large service doors for the hydrometer and water connection. All will be hidden under the tiles. Okay, now the complex and time-consuming step. It is tiling tiles. I decided to make a bathroom in a natural look, so the material textures are stone, wood and sand. I borrowed a professional tile cutter because I needed precise cuts. The tool makes the whole process less stressful and effortless. The modern standard is to make corners without cover strips, but it's my first try and I prefer more resilient solution. The cut edges looks nice, but are very fragile. The tiling looks easy, but you must make many measurements and cuts. Also, it is messy and loud work. A diamond cutter can make nice holes, but cutting them on the other way around is better. The hole is the smoother without burr around. This metal template is for LED strip installation. The last step is to seal the edges with a silicone and fill the joints. The bathroom is almost done. It remains small details like faucets, toilet, water heater, wash basin and so on. I wrongly calculated the depth of the socket boxes, so I was forced to extend them for correct position and installation. I bought sockets with modern pins, so I pushed the wire into the right terminal and that is all. I have double stair switch for lights and LEDs. Having both circuits separately is important. One has 24 volts and the other has 230 volts. The stucco plaster is properly dry, so I can finally finish the corners and edges. And finally, the best part of the whole process, painting. We apply penetration for better adhesion. The white paint is nice, but looks horribly dull, so we choose a nice green paint for the children's room and sky blue for the bedroom. I wouldn't say I like dirty wires, so I clean the boxes and wires before each installation. The 2.5mm wires are quite hard, so pushing the sockets into the box was sometimes difficult. I have TV and PC UTP sockets for internet connection, but modern plugs are super easy to connect. I installed RGB LEDs, which have a microcontrol board, so I can play with the colors and funny functions. And the best thing is that it's working. I told you we poured the self-leveling mortar into each room separately. Here is the reason why. The deviation between the room and corridor is 23mm. Of course, I don't want this huge height difference. The easy solution is to buy hardboard sound isolation and apply 3 layers. Each board has 7mm. So the difference of 2mm is more tolerable. When I had almost every room at the same height, I bought German vinyl floors. Again, laying the floor is a quite straightforward process. Each panel has the grooves for precise connection and position. professional plumber installed radiators and made new pipes. I only connect them after painting. Excellent, it is working. Now I also need hot water. The apartment only has a cold water connection, so I bought and connected a new water heater. I decided on this connection. The output for hot water has a valve and relief valve. The same applies to cold water input, why I added a pressure relief valve between. And this is a beast for 160 liters. One of the last steps was to assembling and placing wooden door frames and doors. I bought excellent struts which made the whole installation pleasant and primarily precise. Oof, I'm glad that I made the holes for the frames correctly and no other cutting or demolition was needed. However, I cannot say the same thing about the cabinet under the sink. I forgot to calculate the height of the sink, so I was forced to modify the wooden boards slightly. I filled a small gap with acrylic putty because the wall was not perfectly straight. Because the walls are not perfectly straight, I chose plastic floor covers profiles instead of wooden ones. Also, installation is easier. I made basic electrical switchboard connection and added nodes to each wire, but I left the rest on professional electrician. What a beautiful work! It looks slightly more complicated than the old one. Each circuit is covered with a surge protector. The water heater has a time switch. I made a small magic trick with a jackhammer and made the digital box slightly larger. Now all stuff fits nicely. I have here 24 volts power source for LEDs and modern with a router. The last step was to assemble the kitchen and move all the stuff from the old apartment. Okay, with these steps, I'm done. This reconstruction took me more time than I expected. Primarily, I wanted to make it easy and only with a few minor modifications. But it had many problems and needed more adjustments. Also, it was expensive, but I saved a lot of money because I made the most of the steps alone. I learned a lot, but I'm looking forward to making models again. Sorry that I didn't have the time to answer messages and emails. But as you can see, I had a millions other problems to solve. Now I'm going to be more social active again. Thank you to my family and you for watching, and primarily for your support and patience. Now a few shots before and after.